In 3D graphics, we often have various algorithms and definitions which are generally asked in your exams. So we'll try to cover a few of them. So this is 3D graphics question and answers. First is, what is aliasing? What is aliasing? See, undesirable rendering artifacts in the form of jagged lines, edges or surfaces in computer images are aliasing. See, the sampling, what we do in your images. So the sampling, if it is not done properly, then you will have these jagged lines. So in signal processing and related disciplines, aliasing is an effect that causes different signals to become indistinguishable or aliases of one another. Again, alias means indistinguishable or aliases of one another. So that this aliasing will cause different signal to become indistinguishable. They'll look same when sampled. So it also refers to the distortion or artifacts that results when the signal reconstructed from sample is different from the original continuous signal. See, the aliasing also refers to the distortion or artifact that result when the signal reconstructed from the samples is different from the original continuous signal. Next is in sound and image generation. Aliasing is the generation of this is another version of aliasing. So in sound and image generation, aliasing is the generation of false or alias frequency along with the correct one. So correct one, along with that you have alias when doing the frequency sampling. So for images, this produces a jagged edge or a stair step effect. Now next question is, what is alpha channel? What do you mean by an alpha channel? Can you answer this? A channel of data in bitmap images which stores the transparency of the image, generally used for compositing. So you have seen RGBA. So what is this A? This is an alpha channel. So this 32-bit image has 24-bit of color information and 8 bits of alpha channel. So this allows 256. Alpha is 8-bit. So that is 2 to the power 8. That is 256. 256. That is, it allows 256 levels of transparency from total transparent to absolutely opaque. So the alpha channel is a color component that represents the degree of transparency. So it is actually the degree of transparency, or you can also call it as an opacity of a color, that is red, green and blue channels. So it is used to determine how a pixel is rendered when blended with another. Why it is used? It is used to determine how a pixel is rendered when it is blended with some other pixel. Next question is, what is ambient color? What is ambient color? So the color of a surface where it is not directly illuminated. The color of this surface where it is this one, not directly illuminated. So it is influenced by the brightness and the color of ambient light. So ambient color is the color of an object where it is in shadow. This color is what the object reflects when illuminated by an ambient light rather than the direct light. We also have a diffuse color, which is, we'll talk about it later, but still we must know it here. Diffuse color is the most instinctive meaning of the color of the object, of an object. Now we must know what is ambient light then. Ambient light means the light that is already present in a scene. Means light is not coming, but some light is already present before any additional light is added. So it usually refers to the natural light. There is no direct light which we want to force on the object, but there are certain natural lights. So either outdoors or coming through windows. So it can also mean artificial light such as normal room lights. So this is ambient light. The general lighting that illuminates the scene, often with respect of any direction, like we have seen here. This is ambient light, and it attempts to emulate the effect of light bouncing off all objects to illuminate all other objects, but is not a true simulation, such as radiosity. Okay, radiosity will come in the later slides. So a high ambient light setting results in a washed out scene, since no shadow can be darker than the ambient light. Now we come to anti-aliasing. We have just seen the this aliasing. Now we see anti-aliasing. So if the question comes to you, what is anti-aliasing? So in computer graphics, this anti-aliasing is a software technique for diminishing these jaggies or stair-step like lines that should be smooth. It should be smooth. So jaggies occur because the output device, the monitor or the printer, doesn't have high enough resolution to represent a smooth line. So an algorithm which attempts to correct these jagged or aliased computer images and blurring the images is one such method, anti-aliasing. If the interviewer asks you what may be the techniques you use in anti-aliasing, you can answer that blurring is one of the technique. So more advanced method is called the super sampling. So you can also use super sampling along with this blurring. What is aspect ratio? What is aspect ratio? So the proportion of screen width to the height. So width to height is the aspect ratio. So NTSC video has say aspect ratio of 4:3 or 1.33:1. So other common aspect ratios are like 16:9, that is 1.78:1. Now you find this as wide. You'll see in the laptop now it comes with 16:9 view only. If you see the YouTube resolution, this is like this only. So for high definition video and 1.85:1 for widescreen theater, 35 mm film. So the number of pixels in the image is independent of the aspect ratio and need not even be the whole number multiples of the aspect ratio. What is B-spline? B-spline. This is the figure of the B-spline. So in the mathematical subfield of numerical analysis, a B-spline, or we call it as a basis spline. B-spline is basis spline. This is the spline function that has minimal support with respect to a given degree, smoothness and domain partition. So any spline function of a given degree can be expressed as a linear combination of B splines of that degree. So basis spline, a very smooth curve controlled by, this is C, this is a smooth curve. And this is controlled by 3 or more control vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the control vertices. These are the basis spline. So a B-spline always intersects the first and last control vertices, but is usually only influenced by the others. So it intersects here but influenced by other points. So again we'll go back to this discussion. It is a mathematical subfield of numerical analysis, which is basis spline. It has a minimum support with respect to given degree, smoothness and domain partitions. Any spline function of a given degree can be expressed as a linear combination of B splines of that degree. What is Bezier? What do you mean by Bezier? A Bezier, or busy, you can also pronounce it as busy. So a Bezier curve is a parametric curve frequently used in computer graphics and related fields. So generalization of Bezier curves to higher dimensions are called the Bezier surfaces, of which the Bezier triangle is a special case. So a type of spline, Bezier curve is a type of spline only, as we have just seen the B-spline. So it is a type of spline or patch that uses adjustable tangent handles. Tangent, this is tangent, this is tangent, this is tangent. So tangent handle to control the curvature near each control vertex. So named after Pierre Bezier, an engineer at the Renault Auto Company in 1960s. So Bezier patented the technique based on the earlier work by Paul de Castelzau. Now what is bitmap? A representation in which each item corresponds to one or more bits of information. So one item has certain information with one or more bits, especially the information used to control the display of a computer screen. So a still image produced by a fixed matrix of pixels. Example of bitmap file format .bmp, .jf, .jpg, .tiff, .tga, .png, all are the bitmap files only. Cartesian coordinate system. What is Cartesian coordinate system? A Cartesian coordinate system is a coordinate system that specifies each point uniquely in a plane by a pair of numerical coordinates, which are the signed distances to the point from two fixed perpendicular directed lines measured in the same unit of length. So Cartesian coordinate system is specify each point uniquely in a plane by a pair of numerical coordinates, which are the signed distances of the point from two fixed perpendicular directed lines measured in the same unit of length. A method of locating points in 2D or 3D space. A method of locating points in 2D and 3D space by measuring distances parallel to intersecting straight line axis. So method of locating points in 2D or 3D is Cartesian coordinate system. So these coordinate axes are perpendicular to one another, defining a 2D or a 3D grid or 3D cubic lattice. This was first published by René Descartes, philosopher and mathematician in 17th century. What is compositing? Compositing is the combining of visual elements from separate sources into single image. Separate sources combination into single images, often to create the illusion that all those elements are part of the same scene. Live action shooting for compositing is variously called chroma key, blue screen, green screen, and other names. So the combination of two or more images to create a new image is also compositing. A simple example would be foreground character superimposed over an environmental character or background. See, in the remote sensing and image processing, we make FCC, false color composite. We combine these certain bands. Say if RGB is there, RGB is combined. We combine RGB and some, say, another, say, infrared channel. So we combine these three. So we get a composite image. What is a diffuse color? Diffuse color is the most instinctive meaning of the color of an object. Instinctive meaning, what it means? It is that essential color that the object reveals under pure white light. It is the essential color that the object reveals under pure white light, and it is perceived as the color of the object itself rather than the reflection of the light. Most instinctive meaning of the color of the object. The color of a rough or a matte finished surface. This is also a diffuse color. What is dynamics? Automated or semi-automated procedural animation. Automated or semi-automated procedural animation that simulates how objects move in the real world. Typically employing the laws of Newtonian physics. This is dynamics. So rigid body dynamics describe how objects respond to forces such as gravity and collisions. Soft body dynamics additionally simulate how objects deform when in motion. So rigid body dynamics describe how objects respond to forces such as gravity and collision, while soft body dynamics additionally simulate how objects deform when in motion. What is edge? The boundary between two faces of a mesh model is the edge. So an edge is a straight line connecting two vertices and bounded by a face on either side. What is effects animation? See, any animation which involves special visual effects rather than character animation or simple transform animation. This is the effects animation. So example include particle system and dynamics. What is expression? Statement in mathematical or computer programming language used to generate or manipulate data for animation, expression. For example, a particle system tend to rely on expression to control the generation behavior of the system. So an expression usually takes the form of an equation to set the value of a parameter of an attribute. A minus b plus c, this is also an expression only. What is extrude? A simple process of converting 2D shapes into 3D. See, this is say image or some photograph. If we can extrude it, okay, and I combine it. So this is how it looks like in 3D. So this is extruding. A copy of the 2D image is moved perpendicular to the original, then connected to the original to create a closed surface. For example, extrusion can be used to create renderable 3D logos from 2D text shapes. What is a face? What do we mean by face? So what is the face? A renderable 2D plane. The narrowest definition of a face is a triangle. That's the simplest possible 2D shape. A face can also be a synonym for polygon. See, if you have represented your 3D or object, you have modeled in this polygon. So this is one face. This is another face. This is another face. This is another face. So face is can also be a synonym for polygon because this is a renderable 2D plane, right? This is the simplest possible 2D shape, a face. What is the face normal? See, these are the face, and if a perpendicular is drawn to this face, these are face normal. So also known as the polygon normal or surface normal, a visual distinction of which side of a face is renderable and displays as the line pointing out perpendicular to the surface of a face that we have just seen. And for a one-sided surface, if a normal is pointed away from the camera, the face will not render. So thank you so much. But we'll be taking more of these questions shortly.